My name's Mark Delaney. I'm 34 now, living outside Tacoma, Washington, and I haven't worked overnight security in almost 4 years. I still avoid elevators whenever I can, especially freight elevators. Before this happened, I was the kind of person who rolled my eyes at ghost stories online. I liked horror movies, sure, but I never believed any of that stuff could actually happen to someone. Now I'm not so sure. Back in late 2022, I worked night security at a downtown office tower in Seattle called the Harbor View Center. 20 floors, mostly law firms and tech companies. During the day, the place was packed with people in suits carrying coffee and laptops. At night, it felt dead. Just empty hallways, flickering lights, rain hammering the windows, and the constant hum of elevators moving through the building. Seattle rain has a different feeling at night. If you've lived there, you know what I mean. It doesn't sound comforting after midnight. It sounds lonely. Most overnight shifts were painfully boring. I'd sit in the security office watching camera feeds, do patrols every hour, maybe talk to the janitor if he was working late. That was usually it. The only part of the building people avoided was the 14th floor. It had been under renovation for months after a pipe burst flooded half the offices. No tenants, no lights, just stripped walls, exposed wiring, and plastic sheets covering abandoned furniture. The night this happened, rain was coming down so hard it blurred the entire skyline outside. Around 1:12 a.m., the power flickered for maybe 2 seconds. I barely reacted. Old building, happened sometimes. I was drinking terrible vending machine coffee while watching the security monitors when something caught my eye. Camera 14. The freight elevator doors had opened on the 14th floor. I frowned immediately because nobody should have been up there. At first I assumed maintenance forgot to log access, but then I checked the system. No badge scan. No elevator request. Nothing. The doors stayed open for nearly 30 seconds before closing again. Then about a minute later, they opened again. Same floor. I remember actually laughing quietly because it felt like the beginning of a bad horror movie. Storm outside. Empty floor. Weird elevator activity. Still, it was my job to check. So I grabbed my flashlight and radio and headed upstairs. The passenger elevators couldn't access 14 directly because the floor was inactive, so I took 1 to 13 and used the stairwell. The second I pushed open the stairwell door onto 14, I noticed the smell. Wet carpet. Not mold. Fresh wetness. Like someone had dragged rain-soaked clothes through the hallway. The entire floor was dim except for red emergency lights glowing near the exits. Plastic tarps covered old desks and filing cabinets. Parts of the ceiling were missing, exposing pipes overhead. And through the giant windows lining the building, you could see rain sliding endlessly down the Seattle skyline. I called out, "Security." Nothing answered. The freight elevator sat at the far end of the hallway. Closed. I started walking toward it slowly. Then, ding! Behind me. I turned so fast my flashlight slipped in my hand. The passenger elevator at the opposite end of the hallway had opened. That shouldn't have been possible. Nobody could access that floor without authorization. The door stayed open. No one stepped out. I stood there staring, waiting for somebody to appear. Nothing. Then slowly, the elevator doors started closing again. And right before they shut, I saw someone standing inside. Tall, wearing dark clothes, standing perfectly still in the back corner. I only saw the figure for maybe half a second, but something about it made my stomach tighten instantly. The person never reacted to seeing me. Didn't move. Didn't blink. just stood there. The doors closed. My radio crackled almost immediately. "Mark, you upstairs." It was Lewis, the janitor. "Yeah. You with somebody?" I stopped walking. "No." Long pause. "I just saw someone get into the elevator from 14. That was the moment the situation stopped feeling funny. I walked back toward the passenger elevator and pressed the call button. Nothing happened. The display was blank. Then behind me, ding! The freight elevator doors slid open slowly. Empty. But water covered the floor inside. Not little puddles from shoes. The entire elevator floor looked soaked. And muddy footprints led out into the hallway. Bare footprints. I remember staring because the feet looked strange somehow. Long toes, too narrow. The footprints disappeared around the corner, toward one of the unfinished office suites. Lewis kept asking through the radio if I was okay, but honestly I barely heard him anymore. Every instinct told me to leave. Instead, I followed the footprints. I think because I still believed there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe a homeless person got inside. Maybe somebody on drugs. Anything normal. The office suite was almost completely dark, except whenever lightning flashed outside the windows. The footprints crossed the concrete floor, then stopped completely. No return tracks. No continuation. Just stopped in the middle of the room. I slowly swept my flashlight around the empty office. Nothing. Then I heard breathing. Close. At first, I thought it came from behind me. Then I realized. It was above me. I pointed my flashlight upward and nearly dropped it. There was a man crouched on top of one of the unfinished cubicle dividers near the ceiling, watching me. His clothes looked completely soaked black. Water dripped steadily from his sleeves onto the floor below him. But the worst part was how still he was. No blinking. No expression. Just staring. I shouted, "Jesus Christ, hey, get down." The second I yelled, he moved. Not climbing down. Dropping. He hit the floor hard enough that I heard the impact echo through the office. But he stood immediately. Like the fall didn't hurt him at all. Then every light went out. Complete darkness. I heard footsteps running. Bare feet slapping fast against concrete. Straight toward me. I stumbled backward into a wall while trying to keep hold of the flashlight. The beam shook wildly across the room, but I couldn't find him anymore. Then something brushed against my arm. Wet fabric. That was enough for me. I ran. I bolted through the office suite and back into the hallway, while hearing those barefoot footsteps chasing behind me. Fast. Too fast. I hit the stairwell door and practically threw myself inside. The footsteps stopped immediately. I looked back upward toward the hallway entrance. The door slowly creaked open by itself. Darkness beyond it. Nothing there. I got downstairs shaking, so badly Lewis thought somebody had attacked me. Police came maybe 20 minutes later. They searched the entire floor. Found nobody. No signs of forced entry. No homeless person. Nothing. One officer pulled me aside before leaving. He asked, "You said the guy looked wet." I nodded. The officer looked uncomfortable for a second before saying, "Years ago, before renovations started, a maintenance worker died up there after a pipe burst overnight. Apparently, the man had gotten trapped near the freight elevator while the floor flooded. They found him drowned the next morning. I quit 3 days later. But the reason I still think about this almost every night is because of what I saw before leaving that job. On my final shift, I reviewed the security footage from 14. The camera recorded me walking down the hallway toward the unfinished office suite. And behind me, clear as day, another figure walked into frame. Tall, soaking wet, barefoot, following directly behind me the entire time. Close enough that if I had turned around even once, I probably would have been face to face with him.